Hi, this is Albert Plucknet. Welcome to the teacher training presentation, ESL program overview for school stakeholders. In this presentation, I'm going to identify who these stakeholders are, outline program development steps, talk a little about the laws and regulations that apply to K-12 ESL programs, and emphasize the need for collaboration. The stakeholders are those who have a vested interest in the ESL program, including students and their parents, classroom teachers, the ESL teacher, administrators, and providers of related services, such as the school psychologist, special education teachers, and so on. Program development steps are selection of an educational approach, screening, assessment, placement, instruction, transition, monitoring, and program evaluation. The educational approach could be bilingual or mainly English. It could be push-in, where the ESL teacher goes to the general classroom, or pull-out, where the students spend part of the day out of the general classroom in special ESL classes. There are many approaches and variations. Federal law requires that whatever the approach, it must be research-based, implemented with adequate commitment and resources, and proven to be effective. The second step is screening with the home language survey. The parents of all new students in the district are given the survey, which asks such questions as, what language is spoken in the home? What was the first language learned by the child? What language do you most often use to speak to your child? And what language does the child most often use in the home? The next step is assessment for placement with the WAPT. All students who were screened as potential English language learners take the WAPT, which measures proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing for social instructional language, language of language arts, language of math, language of science, and language of social studies. Based on WAPT results, students are either found to be fully English proficient, in which case they enter the regular educational program, or they are found to be English language learners, in which case they go into the ESL program, except if their parents waive participation, in which case they go into the regular educational program and an alternative plan is devised to make the students proficient in English. Students in the ESL program take the Access Proficiency Test annually, and when they get a high enough score, are redesignated fully English proficient, go into the regular educational program, and are monitored for 2 years. The next topic is laws and regulations. I'll address the federal definition of English learner, language instruction program requirements, annual assessments, annual measurable achievement objectives, and the rights of parents. The federal definition of English learner is detailed and complicated, but in general it is any student who is acquiring English and has a first language other than English. Next is language instruction program requirements. The No Child Left Behind definition of the instructional program is that it is an instructional course in which the limited English proficient child is placed to develop and attain English proficiency while meeting state content and academic standards. The program may use English and the child's native language. It must be research-based, implemented with adequate commitment and resources, and must be evaluated and proven effective. All LEP students in grades 3 through 12 must take assessments in reading, language arts, and math, except that students who are in their first full year of attending U.S. schools are exempt from taking the reading, language arts assessment. Appropriate accommodations must be provided, which in general are the same as for special education, except that assessment must be in the child's first language if necessary. There are 3 required annual measurable achievement objectives, and parents must be informed if those objectives are not met. They are 1. The school must have an increased percentage of students who make progress in learning English. 2. an increase in the percentage of students who attain English proficiency, and 3. There must be adequate yearly progress for English learners in meeting grade level standards in reading, language arts, and math. Concerning the rights of parents, parents must be informed in a language they understand when their child has been identified as an English learner, the reasons for the identification, their child's level of English language development, and how the language development program will help their child learn English and meet academic standards. Further, they must be informed how the methods used in language instruction will differ from those used for English fluent students, how the needs of a child with a disability will be addressed in the individualized education plan, how their child will be exited from the program when proficient in English, and what their rights are as parents. Our final topic is collaboration, which is key for program success. Collaboration is defined as direct interaction between co-equals to work toward a common goal. Collaborators include classroom teachers, the ESL teacher, parents, students, and all stakeholders in the school. Direct students of the ESL teacher are those which involve working directly to implement services, including tutoring, testing, and giving ESL classes. Indirect services include modifying materials, devising assessments, and providing professional development. That concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time and attention.